Do you ever feel like you're stuck in the middle of your business? Do you ever feel like everyone needs something from you all the time? And do you ever feel like you couldn't actually step out of the company and allow it to run without you? If so, this is the blueprint for you. As an entrepreneur, as we scale up, we need to go from what we call the hub and spoke model, where you are the middle of the hub and all the spokes come off, to a siloed model where every single department has a head of each. This is marketing, sales, operations, and finance. And in this podcast, I'm going to take you through the blueprint of going through the hub and spoke into the siloed approach, which will actually enable you to work on the business rather than in it, and go away for a week or a month, and the business will actually do better without you. Whilst at the beginning of your business, you will love being in it. It will be the band of brothers. It will be great culture. You love working 7 days a week. I can guarantee you it will come to a point where you do not want that to be the case. There is more to life than business. And if you actually want to work on it rather than in it and enable you to move up to making 6, 7 and multi-7 figures a year, you're going to have to understand how to structure your company. Using the Property Entrepreneur Blueprint, what we do is we teach you how to move through the 3 levels. And if you haven't already secured your place at one of the annual events, go to www.don'ttalktotenants.co.uk. If you're overseas, then you can tune in virtually. If you are in the UK, it's at the 5-star Belfry Golden Spa Resort. And over 3 days, you will learn this blueprint start to finish, learn the 50 plus blueprints that you need to put into your business to enable you to move through the levels, switch gears, and actually work on the business rather than in it. One of the blueprints we use is the 3 levels of teams, where you start with a band of brothers, where it's you, friends, family, you're all having a great time, you love it, it's life and death, it's a fantastic place. It's probably one of the best periods of being in business for me. After that, you'll start to scale up, and you'll go from a startup to a scale up, where you focus on systems and you focus on team. The team becomes the dream team. And as you scale up, what you'll do is you'll recruit the best you can afford. You'll hold the business together with culture, and then you'll go on this growth curve, which is challenging. It's difficult, but it can be a fantastic experience as you scale up, and it is where you'll start to make money. And then the 3rd level is the professionals. You get to a point where you've got the money, you've made your hundreds of thousands or millions of pounds in the bank, and actually you want to step out of the company. So you build the professionals in, and you start to focus on the departments. If you want to get out of the band of brothers, into the dream team, and then into the professionals, you have to, as quickly as possible, remove yourself from being the center of the business. The hub and spoke model is where you are the hub of the wheel. If you imagine a wheel, you are the center, and all of the decisions, the drive, the motivation, the culture on a daily basis is driven by you. And the reality is you can't go away for weeks or months on end without somebody getting in touch with you. You're still involved on a daily basis in key decision making and driving the key functions. And that's the hub of the wheel. If you want to get to the next level, where actually you can work on the business rather than in it, at the dream team level and the professional level, you need to bring in heads of departments. And what you do here is, rather than it be a team where everyone's chipping in, it's the hub and spoke, you're involved in everything, you actually start to have a team of 4 people who report directly to you, and below them is each of the 4 key functions. And this is the siloed step change. So if you think about being the hub, where you're banging the drum, leadership, you've probably got a sensory feel on performance and you know what's going on everywhere. This is likely a managing director or a CEO role, but you'll probably still, even though you might feel like you're working on the business, you'll be stuck in one of those key functions. Maybe it's deal sourcing, maybe it's marketing, maybe you're still actively involved in managing the sales team. It's very much a hub and spoke model. You're still very much involved. The silo model is where we start to build out this team. And what we want to do is we want to move your involvement away from being involved in every spoke of the business and actually just being focused on 4 key team members, 4 key departments. And actually, whilst previously they all sort of collaborated together and spoke to each other, they now all work in a siloed approach. Now, there is pros and cons of this. You have to know how to do it. And the blueprint that we teach will show you how to do that. But at headline level, you want to recruit 4 professionals. And the 4 professionals that you want to recruit are a head of marketing, who will then manage all of your day-to-day marketing activity, a head of sales, who will then drive the sales team based on the leads, that's the KPI for the managing marketing department, to the closed sales that is the KPI for the sales team. You then want somebody who's in charge of your operations, who runs the business operationally, and they're responsible for the day-to-day. And that's all about delivery and service. And they'll be driven by things like NPS scores, service level agreements, execution levels, engagement, client reviews. And then finally, finance. A finance department that runs completely autonomously. Maybe you have a senior finance person and a bookkeeper, or you have a FD, a senior finance, or FD and bookkeeping. And you have somebody that's dedicated to running the accounts, and they run it primarily based on the reports and the KPIs that need to be issued. These are the 4 recruits you need. And when you're thinking about profiles and drive, in the siloed approach, the marketing is going to be somebody that's quite dynamic. They're going to be a dynamo profile or a dynamo mechanic. They need to be dynamic. They need to be intuitive, but they also need to have a handle on the tech. So they understand how to build funnels. They need to understand how to run CRMs. They need to understand how to use ad spend and client acquisition costs and client lifetime value. You want that sort of dynamo mechanic profile in there to run the show for you. And you would meet with them on an annual basis to do strategy, quarterly basis to do reviews, monthly basis to do planning and performance, and then weekly basis to look at KPIs. Sales, and they would be driven by the leads, the quality of leads that are generated, and the spend that's required to attract those leads. The next would be sales, and this is having somebody that's responsible for running your sales team. They would be looking at sales campaigns, sales training, sales blueprints, sales processes to make sure that those leads that are generated are actually converted and that they run efficiently and effectively, and you're actually getting the bottom line closes that you need from the top line leads. Head of sales may be Blaze. There may be an ex-salesperson that's done really well. The main thing is that they've got experience and expertise both in sales strategy, so how to incentivize team members, how to run a sales training program, how to take people through the model that we teach on the blueprint, the RSC, take them through the process. But also they need to have management experience, and that a great salesperson doesn't necessarily make a great sales manager, which is a mistake we see a lot. And the sort of good example of that is a football player. World-class football players who are the best in the world don't tend to go on to become world-class football managers. And we've seen that a lot because definition of success goes from being bottom line sales, your own results, to as a first-time manager, based on the success of others. And the success of others is based on leadership and management, not necessarily the ability to sell. Operations, and it depends what type of business you have, would normally gravitate towards more of a tempo or a steel profile, depending on the type of business. Again, they need to have that human experience, that management competence, and they need to be able to drive a team if that's a key part of the operations. If it's more systems-based and they're arm's length, and perhaps you even outsource it, they would then probably be more steel-focused, where they're based on processes and systems, and you bring in your tempos or your blazes to actually integrate. And then finally, the finance. Finance is very much a steel focus. You want a very experienced steel-focused finance person who isn't just a bookkeeper. You need to split the role. You would have a head of finance who understands finance planning, strategy, business modeling, forecasting, reporting. You would then have somebody that does the heavy lifting, which would be your bookkeeping, your payment runs, things like that, your credit control. And then you might have somebody in the middle that's a go-between that prepares reports, audits end of month management accounts, and sits between that sort of director level and delivery level in the middle. And this is the key shift, really. So think about where you are now in your business and think about where you want to get to. If you haven't got that siloed approach yet, have a think over the coming weeks and months. How are you going to move into that direction where you've got key individuals? Who might they be? How might you structure it? And how might you remunerate them so that over the coming months and maybe years, you can get to a position where you're not the hub of the wheel, and you haven't got all these spokes that land on your desk. The team aren't all shouting across desks and sort of talking to each other and collaborating as one unit. and actually start to split it into a marketing department, a sales department, operations and finance, and start thinking about who could be the head of those departments, the directors in those fields, and then you can actually sit on top and run the business as an actual business. I hope you got value from it. This is very much a key part of moving through the levels. As I shared previously, this is the blueprint that we teach at the 3-day annual events that we host. If you haven't already secured your place, go to www.don'ttalktotenants.co.uk and attend one of our 3-day blueprints. There's 100% money back guarantee. You got absolutely nothing to lose. And you'll use the blueprint that I've used over the last 21 years to build over 40 different companies. And I've been teaching it for over a decade to enable others to do the same. And if you want to go into the 6- and 7-figure profit space, you will not get there without this. I hope you enjoyed this blueprint. I hope you can move towards the siloed approach as soon as the time is right. And I wish you the best of luck, and we'll see you on the next episode.